was, my grandfather's business. And as I was trying to play professional golf, he had a black music magazine, and artists would come in all the time into the office to get interviewed. And I remember sitting down with the one artist, and they were just complaining about their contract, et cetera, et cetera. And we kind of told them, hey, listen, if we can help you get from this contract, get a better situation, let us manage it. The situation happened. The name changed from Chill Deal Boys to a group called 95 South. We had a song at that time called Whoop There It Is. That blew up. And then me and my partner, Barry Dufay, ended up saying, you know what? We can help them on this side. We can run the whole shebang. So we started an independent record company called Rip It Records. Put out some great records. Rob, who's up in Atlanta now, great voice. Had a song called Foreplay, which was a big R&B joint for us back in the early 90s.
Yes.
And then we turned around and had a huge smash, still being played today, called Tootsie Roll, the 69 Boys.
Yes.
And, I'm in my 20s, and, we're rolling. We got platinum records, et cetera. And we just kind of stepped out on faith, man. Really did. We borrowed a couple $1,000s, and we rolled it into millions. But as life goes, and this is where our life intersects, you and I, DC, is your life is rolling. And of course, this little company called Napster comes on the scene and starts changing the music industry, right? All of a sudden, they're downloading music, everybody's ripping CDs, and nobody's buying those 99-cent cassette tapes anymore. I was selling millions of copies. I was selling millions of those, and so they're starting to rip that stuff, and the albums, and so there was a big, and because we were fully independent, right?
Right.
Me and Barry were fully independent. We did all our own manufacturing, all our distribution, et cetera, et cetera. So we were really, really pushing all the chips in on ourselves. Well, that kind of stopped everything. And so, distributors couldn't pay us. And so in that time, had some come to Jesus meetings about where I was in my life. And that's how you and I crossed the church,
yes,
thankfully. And, out of that experience, I began to realize how passionate I was about helping our community, particularly entrepreneurs, right?
Right.
Get on that front line and create generational wealth. Because of my experience of having millions and then getting stuck with the situation where, we even had to file bankruptcy because these distributors wouldn't pay us because they were holding money back because of Napster. And that taught me some valuable things in business, right? Some valuable lessons that no MBA could ever give me. And so, when you grow a company that grows, $10, $15 million, and all of a sudden you're stuck looking at pennies, you learn a lot.
Yes, yes.
A lot about money, a
yes,
lot about yourself, a lot about growing a business, etc. And so in that, I began to help business owners out of my own, frustrations. And we had some opportunities to sell the business for a lot of money. So I tell all my business owners, hey, never get on the highway without knowing your exit.
Exactly.
Never get on a highway without knowing your exit. So once you know your exit ramp, right, then you can get to where you want to go. But if you're just driving around and circling around 285, around 285, you're going to waste some gas and probably, it's going to take you way longer to get to where you want to. So out of that, I started doing financial services. I became a financial advisor. I said, you know what, I'm having an impact on people's lives. It has to do with their money. That's where my pain point was, my success was.
Right.
At the same time. And man, it's been 22, going on my 22nd year of helping people, guiding them to financial independence, financial freedom, so that they can live their dream and live their best life. And it's getting 22 years of doing it. I love it.
That's good. So it took your trials and tribulations to come to light, so you'll be able to help others because you've been through that. So
right.
So you know exactly what steps needs to be taken. If somebody come to you and say, hey, Mr. Bell, I just I had this, but I lost all of that. Then you go, my brother, I know exactly where you've been because I lost millions. So I know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
or hey, I want to grow my business. Well, I've grown one. I've grown and
right.
sold, almost 10 million records. I've grown this financial service company that I have, where I'm servicing over 100 families, and tens of millions of dollars of helping them. And so there's and then of course, because you help so many business owners, you understand exactly what it takes to grow a business, but just as important, how to take that money and create generational wealth.
Right.
And particularly in our community, right? You're talking about, Black history, particularly in our community, I believe that financial front, right? That wealth front, that wealth gap that we experience in our community, that is the next fight. Just as the voting rights were for our parents.
Right.
I think our fight today is not so much voting rights that we have issues there. It's going to be, how do we create generational wealth to close that gap? Because once you start closing that gap, that influence and power that we would have in the community changes. And so
yes.
That's my soapbox, right? Is taking both the good and bad of what I've learned, plowing it in, and now it's about, how do we help people become financially free?
Well, also too, I think personally you have to educate people about different currency, because sometimes the dollar may not be what it is here than it is over across seas, and a lot of us don't know that. And we always love to take trips. We love to go to Jamaica, we love to go to Mexico, but we don't understand the currency. And sure. I think that is a big gap between us learning. When I say us, I mean minorities. Us learning what our dollar is worth. How do you teach people that?
Yeah, well, I think that's a great point, right? And I think the foundation goes back to, it's going to sound funny, but what's your worth? Right. Because once you know your worth, well, I'm going back to what you're talking about. So once you understand your worth and value in a system, you can then negotiate, right? From that point, right?
Correct.
You do a phenomenal job with your AV company. You know exactly how much time it takes, what kind of equipment it takes. You know exactly the hours, and therefore you have a certain price, right? Value.
Right.
And you're able to trade that, right? You're able to trade off that. Well, same thing in currency, right? You go down to the peso. If you don't know the value of that peso compared to the dollar, and you're in the business, let's say you're in the business and you have to buy supplies, whether it's, Mexico, Canada, China, etc. If you don't understand the value of that dollar, then you can come up on the wrong end and sell yourself short, or you're buying supplies at the wrong
end.
That's correct. So you want to be able to understand currencies so that if you are buying product supplies for your business, you understand the currency and you may trade in that currency so that you are hedging, you are protecting yourself.
Right.
Especially, for those people out there who, let's say, are out there buying product from across the globe, being able to understand currencies, where you're buying supplies, trading and hedging against. What I mean by hedging, meaning it's like protecting yourself against downfalls in the market, right? So you being able to understand whether you're buying products out of Mexico, out of China, or wherever you buy your products, in Canada, just knowing that country's currency and as it relates to your dollar is very, very important. You can buy more goods if when a dollar is stronger. So you may want to go into that currency, and you may want to buy their current, because you can get more for, more dollars, more pesos than you could. And so it's really important to understand currency, as you brought that up, as far as, understanding the different exchanges and currencies.
Yeah, especially now that a couple of years ago, I want to say 2019 or either 2020, when Bitcoin was like real popular, and then this cryptocurrency started happening, and GameStop was selling all these stocks and all this other type of stuff. So Bitcoin started getting real big, and it was to the point now when the government was stepped in, because Bitcoin was like, that's where people was doing a lot of trading off of Bitcoins. And you can go to the grocery store and pay with your Bitcoin, because they had the Bitcoin ATM machine out there as well. So what's your intake of, getting rid of, I guess, the so-called dollar and turning it into the digital coin?
So, my view, I understand Bitcoin and its potential. I understand, cryptocurrency and its potential and its usage and the reason why, for the decentralization of it, right? People are trying to get away from, like fiat money, like the dollar.
Yeah.
However, what we have seen and what we, you want some regulation. Look at what just happened with FTX.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of people lost money on that.
Oh, buddy. Tens and tens of millions of dollars.
Yes.
And overnight.
Yes.
right? Overnight, no warning, no market indicators,
No, nothing.
Because why? Because it's not regulated. They don't have to report issues, right? They don't have to report certain things, right?
Right.
So, so it's still the wild, wild west. And so is there money? Is there gold to be made? Is there gold out there? Certainly is.
Yeah.
But you have to understand. So like I tell my clients, take a portion, a percentage of your money, but take amount of money that will never hurt you. Maybe that's 2% of your money. Maybe that's 5% of your money. Whatever that is, everybody's a little different, right?
Yeah.
I said, take a percentage that will not hurt you if it goes to zero. Because you just don't know yet. For instance, the way I assess investments is by value.
Right.
In other words, if you wouldn't have to go buy a home, you can do a comp, right, in your neighborhood, and you know what each house sold for per square foot, right?
Right.
So therefore, you have an idea of the value of your home. Now, you may have some nice upgrades and things that make it a little bit more, but you know the value of it because it's compared to other homes in your house. So maybe your home is going for $200 a square foot,
Right.
So imagine if you strip all that away, and one guy down the street is saying my house is worth $1 million. This guy down here is saying it's worth $200,000. He's trying to flip it, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to get out of it, right? He's in trouble. He needs 200 cash, right? Well, the issue back there is for the guy who's holding $1 million, he's pissed off.
Yeah.
Right? Because now you just undervalued my stock. And
exactly.
You're right.
Yeah.
Now you're making my home cheaper. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I tell clients with Bitcoin, it's very hard, or crypto as a whole. Once again, it can be a slice of your portfolio. Don't make it a larger slice than it would if it went to zero, because you don't know how valuations are. We don't know how to value all the. Remember when the whole thing about Dogecoin was going crazy?
Yeah,
last year
I bought some.
There's Shiba over here, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
How do you value it, right? And so what you almost do is like you're throwing, a chip on black, chip on red, and chip on 18. I don't know if it's gonna come up. I don't know how to value it. So I tell clients, man, there is applications to it. It is part of that blockchain technology is part of the future. There's no question about it. You want to maybe have some exposure to it, but never more than if that thing went to zero, you can stand to lose, right?
Yeah,
so really, when I tell them that usually adjusts their
thinking.
They're thinking, right? And so FTX happened, and sure enough, it went to zero.
Yes. And then because you had a lot of people investing in that, man. I mean, like
they said, listen, I know you're on a podcast, and I can't, as an advisor, I can't speak, to certain things, right? Because I don't know how much money Tom Brady had. But they said he had a chunk of money with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Stephen Curry did too. All of them did.
Was a big spokesman,
Yeah.
Brady was a big, and so think about it. That thing happened for hundreds of millions of dollars of loss.
Yeah.
So, so I tell it, it's the future. Have a slice of it. Watch it closely. Like you said, you may put a little money over here, chip over here, chip over here.
Right.
From my standpoint, what I do as a licensed investor or as a licensed advisor, right? I have to make sure that, I get the best interest of my client in mind. And so I tell them, listen, we've got to understand, we got to understand what we're investing in. How do we value it so that if you're paying too much for it or it's a good deal? And more importantly, going back to my example I talked about earlier, your exit strategy. If you hit your number, do we get off the exit?
Right.
If something grows by 4 or 5 times, was that good? Was that your exit strategy? Yes, let's do it. And so I try to bring discipline. I try to bring a strategy, a plan before we invest. Otherwise, everything that good you'll think is gold.
Right. Now, do you also educate your clients on difference about like money market and penny stocks? Because that's sometimes that's all of African American people know about money market and penny stocks. They don't really know about the other stocks that's out there. Some of them high risk, some of them medium risk, some of them low risk. Yeah. But you mentioned money market and penny stocks. The ears go up.
Yeah. Well, we have it's like the lottery, right? We have a proclivity to gambling, right? Because we want money fast.
Right.
We need to hit today. I need to be a millionaire tomorrow.
Right.
So, penny stocks and the allure of penny stocks, just like some multi-level marketing things that go through the church very quickly, right? I knew there was a big thing about the Iraq dinar. Everybody was buying these, Iraqi dollars. That was running through the church. And so all of that, you got to take and say, what I do with them is, yes, education is the key, right? Once you're educated, that's real freedom, right? Knowledge is power.
Yes, it is.
Perish for a lack
of knowledge.
Lack of knowledge.
Yep.
So what I try to do with my clients is like, here's the reason why, right? But what I try to find out is, what is your why? Why are you investing in this? Why are you putting money on a black chip? Why are you putting money on, Bitcoin? Tell me about that.
Right.
What's the reason? What's the purpose? Because once you understand that, and you got a game plan like a good offensive coordinator, you ought to beat.
Yeah. So, to say all of what we just heard and what we just learned about the currency and the market, what is your next big power move in your company?
Yeah. So I have an agency inside of a large company called Prudential, right? And so my next move is I'm bringing on probably 3 or 4 more advisors, but then I'm going to actually start branching out and putting branches throughout Florida. So my next power move is bringing on probably 3 to 5 more advisors inside of my firm, and then taking it and going branches into some different areas. So I'll be in some different states because I'm licensed by state, right? I'm licensed by state to do business.
Right.
And so we'll start branching out in the state, hopefully coming right back to Atlanta, back home, to be honest with you. And then there's a side of my business I want to take purely virtual. I mean, this goes back to you stuff that you do, right?
Right.
It's that next evolution of, okay, how do you give people financial planning, investment advice on a virtual scale, since everybody's now used to sitting on a laptop looking into a screen. Yeah.
The pandemic opened that up to a lot of people. I remember when Zoom first started, long way before the pandemic started. I used Zoom at one time, and it was a doctor that he couldn't make it to his conference in New York, so I had just stumbled upon Zoom. I said, you know what? Let me see if I can implement this in my audiovisual game.
Wow.
Brother, it worked, because I was able to send a link to the conference in New York and be able to use a regular camcorder back in the days, connected to the computer via USB, and have that as my camera, going through the internet and shipping it back down to New York. That's when I said, this is going to be big. But I just never thought about investing in it. You know what I'm saying? Because, it was Zoom, it was new. But then the pandemic hit. I was like, God dog it.
Yeah, those things went through the roof then, right? The
man, everybody and their mama was on Zoom. I was
everybody.
Everybody. What, they still are to this day.
People having family reunions on Zoom.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. And so that shifted our ability to do business.
Right.
Now, like for instance, I just saw where Agner from Disney, the CEO, was like, "Hey, I'm going back to you must be in the office, 4 days a week." Right? He wants everybody shifted. Well, why did he have to say that? Because people were sitting at home, doing business at big old Disney from, the living room, if you will.
Right. Right.
So it was changing the dynamic, however, and so I think you're going to see more and more of that in the future. I think, I think we should be as a community aware of. You said something earlier today in our conversation before we got on. Hey, I'm going to invest in things that I like, things that I know. Right? I think that's the old Warren Buffett way. I think it makes sense. I think we did more of that. Yeah. As opposed to, trying to find some next hot rocket thing they have no idea about. No, you
don't know what it is.
Makes money.
Nope.
And once again, and then if you just throw some money at it, I have no idea how it works.
Exactly.
Well, why don't you go throw some money into stuff that you go into the grocery store and buy every day?
Yeah.
Car that you drive, it's on and on and on and on. So.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But I do think that the way that technology is now, that we can reach people way a lot faster than we used to reach people back in the days. Because now, I can just send you the link that you're on now is a private link. Can't nobody else click on that link but you. Once you get off, somebody else can get on it, but they can't get on it while you're on it. So it's a private link, and you and I can do business now, and you didn't have to travel nowhere.
Yeah.
So no hotel costs, no airplane costs, no per diem that you got to use to eat 3 times a day. You can get up and go to your refrigerator and come back, and I say, all right, I'm gonna go get me something to eat. We'll just take a break and come back.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. The technology now, what we see in front of us, I believe, has changed the game all the way around.
And so when you asked about the power move, that's where I'm moving internally, like my agency, right? And more and more of my clients were meeting where we used to be, set up a meet at my office. It was 15 minutes of prep before, 20 minutes of drive time after, or whatever. Right now, it's a good 30, 40 minute meeting on Zoom. And I can have, where I used to have 3 meetings a day, I can have 6.
See?
Because of technology.
Exactly.
Right? I don't have drive time. I don't have put down time. You know what I mean? I can hop on from call to call. And so what we're doing is I'm using some technologies to make sure that I can do more virtual. So that even the agents I'm bringing on, the advisors I'm bringing on, we're going to do more and more virtual. We're setting up our sales process, our operational process, so that we can be more and more virtual. And hopefully it's 80% of it, is virtual. You're always going to meet with people in person. I mean, that's
right.
Still getting around that. But to improve our efficiency, be able to see more people and help them, I think that's the future.
Yeah, that is the future. Have you ever thought about setting up like a conference, like a small breakout room conference for those who's interested in learning more about what you do and what you have to offer?
You mean like a webinar type thing, seminar, like that kind of thing, or?
Well, no, a webinar. A webinar is more like a one-on-one. Like I'm talking to you, and then you got somebody on the other end reading all the chats. Now, a conference is like you have a conference where you have multiple participants coming in and talking, and everybody see everybody interact, everybody throw their PowerPoint up, everybody, it has a lot of moving parts.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So something like that.
That's very interesting, man. I haven't considered putting the conference together, but that's interesting that you kind of say it, right? But I haven't thought about doing that.
It's to me, I think it's very low cost, effective. You don't have to spend a lot of money that what you would normally have if you go into a facility. If you go into a hotel, you got to sign the contract with the hotel. You got to make sure you spend enough money on food and beverage. You got to have heads on the pillow. You got to pay for the room.
Yeah.
All of that stuff you can put into your production costs, and you still can get a bigger value.
That sounds good, man. No, I have to look at that. That's interesting.
Yeah,
that's very interesting.
So, man, Lewis, this was great, and I appreciate you, man, for taking the time out, and to share what you've been up to and what's your next power move. And I would like to just say this to the people that's listening. If you need any type of financial assistance or anything like that, contact Mr. Bell. Mr. Bell, could you give them your information so we can put it down at the bottom of the screen while we're talking?
On Twitter, I'm at Louis Bell Jr., LOUISBELLJR. So it's at Louis Bell Jr. I'm on Twitter. You can find me at Facebook. That's Louis Bell at Prudential. You'll see me there on Facebook. For those who want to call into my office, for those who are old school, just want to call in, 407-395-2007. Give me a call, man, and we will talk. But I appreciate the opportunity, my brother DC, and good to talk to all your people. Man,
that's good. That's good. Well, people, like I tell you, it was great to have Mr. Bell on set and to share his experience and the things that he's doing, not only for his family, for his community, and also for his clients. So until then, everybody stay blessed, be safe. What's your next power move? Let us know. All right, this is your boy DC. I'm signing out. Until next time.